Good morning, everyone. Today's video is about the 8 elements of critical thinking. I'm your host, Nigel Pearson, and this is the Info Lab. So let's start with the topic of this video. What are the 8 elements of critical thinking? Critical thinking has 8 different elements. These elements are like rules or concepts for how you can improve your critical thinking skills. The first element is purpose. When you are practicing critical thinking, it is imperative that you define the purpose. Deep thought without a purpose is nothing but a daydream. You must define the purpose because until your purpose is clearly understood, you cannot begin to analyze any other aspect of the topic to the degree of effectiveness. The second element is the key question. Every subject requiring critical thought has a key question. The key question is something like an inquiry into the conflicting nature of the issue. Without a question, you can't begin to understand the problem, but with the question, you can begin to define what needs to be solved. The third element is information. In critical thinking, information is probably one of the most important steps. Information is the data that is used to formulate an argument or rule out conclusions that are impossible. The fourth element of critical thinking is the concept. Concepts are ideas, philosophies, or theoretical principles that help shape the argument. A good example of a concept would be Christianity. Christianity is a great concept for debating a form of morality or ethics. It is a religion and a philosophical school of thought by which a person can begin to formulate an argument. The fifth element of critical thinking is the assumption. In the discipline of critical thinking, assumptions are the thoughts and beliefs we accept as true without question. It is very important to consider the assumptions that we have in our line of thinking. Assumptions are often not based in fact. Assumptions must always be challenged because an improper assumption often leads to an improper conclusion. The sixth element of critical thinking is implications and consequences. Implications are statements, facts, or ideas that are the result of previous statements, facts, or ideas. Consequences are the actions that result from previous actions. Implications and consequences are similar in that they are absolutely undeniable results based on previous results. Implications and consequences are quite different in the fact that implications are a rather intangible result based off of intangible results, whereas consequences are physical results that are based on previous physical results. The seventh element of critical thinking is the point of view. In the pursuit of critical thinking, a point of view is extremely important for solving a problem or figuring out the truth. A point of view can be likened to a vantage point on a hill. Imagine that there are 5 people on 5 different hills of varying height and distance. Now imagine that there are 25 targets that are scattered about randomly and they must be shot down by the 5 different people on the 5 different hills. Isn't it safe to say that all of them will have varying degrees of ease and difficulty in performing these tasks? In the same way, a point of view must be heavily considered because the point of view is a lens through which an individual sees an issue or a problem or a piece of information. An issue, a statement, or a piece of information can be easily damaged or easily resolved based on a person's point of view. People don't see what is actually in front of them. They see what they are trained to see. The 8th element of critical thinking is interpretations and conclusions. Now, I want to reiterate that people do not see what is actually in front of them. They see what they are trained to see. Do you believe what I just said? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I'm about to prove it to you. What do you see? There are many Americans who said that they saw $100. Now what do you see? If you're from Thailand, you see 20 baht. Now what do you see? If you're from Vietnam, now you see 2,000 Vietnamese dong. All 3 of the things that I just showed you are a form of currency in varying countries. If you're American, you saw the $100 and it was valuable. If you're Vietnamese, you saw that money and it was valuable. If you're Thai, you saw that money and it was valuable, and you probably didn't even know what some of the currencies were. A few years ago, I would not have known what the Vietnamese or Thai currency looked like. But this proves my point. If you saw money, you didn't see what was actually there. You saw what you were trained to recognize as money. Because even though this functions as money, it's not truly money to everyone, but everyone can agree that this is a fancy piece of paper with fancy ink and it's specially designed to be difficult to counterfeit. Everyone can agree about this as well, and everyone can say the same thing about this as well. But even though this is extremely valuable in America, this is practically worthless in some countries. I'm from the USA. This is practically worthless. This is practically worthless as well in the USA. So this is why interpretations and conclusions are important. All three of those pieces of currency were interpreted quite differently based on who you are and where you're from, which caused you to come up with 3 different conclusions, or maybe 5 or 10, depending on which country you're from. And guess what? All of those conclusions were actually quite incorrect. The true conclusion is that it's fancy paper with fancy ink and it's designed to be hard to counterfeit. But the incorrect conclusion would be that it's money, because it's not money to everyone. It's only money to those who were trained to view it as money. All right, thanks for hanging out with me today. This is the InfoLab, and I'm your host, Nigel Pearson. If you enjoyed the content of this video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and do all that stuff for me. And I'll see you in the next video.